Now I don't need this to have your attention. Welcome to the Lambs Club. For those of you who don't know what the Lambs is, we are America's first professional theatrical club. We have been in New York since 1874. We have been at this location for almost 40 years. Clearly, we are not a restaurant on 44th Street. The Lambs has been very important to the history of theater. For example, the Actors Fund, ASCAP, Screen Actors Guild, Actors Equity were all formed by Lambs. Tonight's event is to the benefit of the Lambs Foundation and our joint partners tonight, Harvardwood. The Lambs Foundation is a charity for theater. Among our goals are we own all the artwork, which is a living historical representation of American theater, and so we are restoring a lot of the artwork, and you're welcome to look around afterwards. We also offer help and support emerging theater and emerging talent. In some cases, it is by a direct charity, giving funds to things like the York Theatre, the Actors Fund, the Episcopal Actors Guild, and so on, or by occasionally allowing some of these nonprofit theatrical groups use this space for a reading or for meeting. So that is what your donations tonight are going to support. Good. After our event tonight, you are welcome to come down to the pub, which is on 2M. They will gladly take your credit cards. They do have food and drink if you're interested. You're welcome. And with that, I'm going to turn our next step over to Stan Porter.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so delighted that we have this opportunity to do the event along with the Lambs. This is just such a perfect space to this sort of event. And frankly, the people at the Lambs have been just lovely to deal with. And for all of you who are Lambs, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you're not Lambs, we can fix that.
And Harvardwood, if you're puzzled by this mysterious name, is Harvard's officially recognized organization for the arts, media, and entertainment. And I'm not going to say much about our guest of honor tonight because she's being interviewed and you will hear everything I would say. But beyond being the sister of one of America's very greatest playwrights, she has had a remarkable career entirely in her own right as an actress with, I think a lot of you will remember a wonderful performance she gave a while back in Pal Joey on Broadway. And she won a Drama Desk Award for The American Clock. And she's been in plays by her brother, by Neil Simon, by lots and lots of others, and has also had a remarkable career on daytime television. And so it's just a thrill to have her here for tonight. And we have one of my very favorite interviewers doing the interview. Foster Hirsch is professor of film at Brooklyn College. He's the author of 16 books on film and theater, including books on people like Kurt Weill, Hal Prince. His most recent book is not a biography, but the biography of Otto Preminger. And he's also the author of the classic study of film noir, The Dark Side of the Screen. So, and he's just, as you will see, he is a wonderful, wonderful interviewer. And so I am delighted to welcome Foster Hirsch interviewing Joan Copeland.
It's the filthiest. Listen, guys, you know, I know why you sometimes go in there. Anyway, I'm very impressed. Hi, I'm Joan. Can I go home?
No, we're just getting started, Joan.
Okay. By the way, if this gets too loud,
Let us know. Can you
let
hear
us know.
Yeah, let us
Yeah.
know. Let us
And
know.
I'll yell back.
We're here tonight, and what an honor to talk to Arthur Miller's sister. Spence gave a very modest introduction. I would say Arthur Miller may well be America's greatest playwright. An extraordinary body of work. This is his 100th year, and productions of Arthur Miller plays are being done all over the world, including many in New York. Just last week, Joan went to see Death of a Salesman in Yiddish.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In Yiddish. So the plays are universal, and it's such an honor to talk tonight, really an exclusive interview about your extraordinary family. So let's start
Oh, them.
there. Do we want a mic for Joan?
Yes, please.
Yes. a
You
mic.
want this?
Yeah.
Sure, for the video.
You need it? Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Okay, let's go. I want to start with your parents, who obviously, it's a good way to start, but they obviously produced some remarkable children. Now, your father was not in the arts, he was in women's clothing. Is that correct?
Well,
He made them. He didn't wear them, he made them.
let's not get into that now. Yes, he manufactured ladies' coats and suits, and if I'm not talking loud enough, let me know. Just Jill. He manufactured ladies' coats and suits, and was successful then.
And your mother was interested, she was interested in the arts.
Yes, yeah, she was, she read, I mean, the number of books in this room now, if she was bored, she could read all of them by the time the evening was over. She was incredible, and just loved reading and playing bridge. And,
Now, did your father read?
did he read?
Did he read?
Yeah.
He could read too.
Yes, but I read in Arthur's book, Time Bends,
Yes.
which is kind of an autobiography, that my dad did not really know how to speak English properly when he came over, because he was a boy when, I can't imagine how they could have done it, but my Miller grandfather and his wife had several children, and they used to make trips back and forth to Europe, excuse me, quite regularly. Like every couple of years they'd go and see what's going on here. And, maybe not in Russia, it was in
Poland.
well, in Poland, yeah, I guess it was Poland. And so they went back one time, and they said, well, look, you know, we don't have enough, I wouldn't say room, but whatever it is. For some reason, they just had to leave Izzy, my dad, behind. Which is unbelievable when I think of what they did. They left the boy with, well, he must have been about maybe 5 years old, with a nursemaid who didn't have an idea how to take care of children, and but she was getting paid for it. And this boy grew up for about maybe 3 years with this person who doesn't have all her marbles, I understand.
And without his parents.
And without his parents, yeah, they left him there. I mean, they had a lot of children, they had about 4 or 5 children already, so they figured, well, Izzy we'll give Izzy to that woman, that woman.
But given the fact that your father was sort of an abandoned child in a way, was
Yeah.
he a good dad?
A good
Was he a
dad?
good father?
Oh, yeah, sure. He was a wonderful
He's
dad.
a wonderful father.
Yeah.
Did he encourage you and your brothers in artistic endeavors?
I think it was more my mother
Your
that
mother
did that, yeah.
Your mother encouraged you.
Dad he loved the theater, and they went to the theater very often when they had money. And there was a long time when they did have money, and they would go to see probably every show that was being put on in Europe, in New York. And they just loved it. My dad loved the theater. As a matter of fact, I can't tell you this. Well, I'll tell you this because he's not around. But he once went to a theater, which was near where they lived in New York. And he was in the afternoon, was nobody in there. And the person who managed the place went to the door and said, "Yeah, who is it? What is it?" He said, I just wanted to look, and I've been in this theater, and I wanted to look at it when it's empty." So the guy said, "All right, come on in." And he went, and he just went to be in that theater.
Just to be in the space?
Yeah, just to see what it's like to be in the theater.
Well, now you're speaking to the point here, because you and your brother have something of a theater fever. So it came from your father.
It did.
In a way,
Yeah.
you just sort of said it.
It was, you know how these things happen. Sometimes it's accidental, sometimes they look for that kind of thing. And,
But your family cared about culture and the arts.
oh yes. My mother particularly, yeah.
Now, when you were growing up, you were the youngest child. You had two older brothers.
Yeah.
Kermit was the oldest brother.
Yeah.
Arthur was the middle brother, and you were the baby.
Mm-hmm.
When you were the baby, looking up at your two older brothers, was there any indication that Arthur was going to be this great, world-acclaimed writer?
No. No, it was expected that Kermit would be that.
Really?
Yeah. Kermit was very bright, handsome, good looking, yeah. And a wonderful person to be with.
And Arthur wasn't those things?
No. Arthur was interested when he was young. Excuse me, young. A real young kid. He would, he liked to go to odd places, you know.
Did he play baseball? Was he sports?
I don't think he ever played baseball. No, he played football.
He played football?
Yeah, and he did something funny to his knee, which sewed.
But you don't have any memory of him as a child writing at his desk, writing.
I don't think he had a pencil. Yeah, no, not in his young years. I mean, when I was aware of it, he was older than me, so,
Was he
no.
an attentive brother?
Not to me. I didn't have time.
But Kermit was.
Kermit, yeah.
Kermit
was a soft, very soft and loving person. Everybody loved Kermit, you know. He was just a good guy. And Arthur was always a good guy, but you know, he was more on working at things, you know. He was always doing something. Arthur was very, very talented with his hands, and it was everything he did, everything he tried to do came out right.
But it wasn't that he was just writing, that's a cliche, that
No,
old
no.
writer was the young writer, it wasn't there at that time.
Yeah, right, yeah.
What was Kermit's career? Because he didn't have the fame of
He,
eclipsed by your
he was a very bright boy in school, in high school. And he had all sorts of awards for being a very good person. And he was. He's a terrific guy. And very generous with himself and with people around him. And he just was a good man. Very
What was
good.
his career, Joan?
He became a salesman.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. And,
He wasn't in the arts at all? Not
no,
in theater at all?
no, he never did.
Never did.
No.
When Arthur's first play was produced, I believe you were there opening night, a play you probably have not heard of, but the great Arthur Miller's first play was not a success, though ironically called The Man Who Had All the Luck.
Oh, yeah.
And you were there opening night.
You're right, yeah.
What do you remember about that?
Well, of course, the family went to see the play, and we just wanted it to be a wonderful play and to be received wonderfully. And people didn't really get with it, It just was not going to be a
It didn't connect.
blockbuster, no. So, and it was quiet, no yelling or anything like that. It was not. And they didn't have any stars in it. It was a new playwright. That's all.
But we wouldn't be here talking about Arthur Miller because of The Man Who Had All the Luck. That
Yeah.
didn't do it. That didn't do it. But then All My Sons, the next one, did have some success.
Yes.
But then, of course, the opening of Death of a Salesman, I have to say, I think that's the greatest American play I've ever seen.
Probably.
I can't think of a greater. And you can't kill it. It doesn't matter who
It pops
performs
up
it.
all over.
I'm going to tell a tale out of school now. I did know Geraldine Page when she was alive, and she went to see Dustin Hoffman in Death of a Salesman. And she told me, and I agreed because I saw it too, she said, Dustin Hoffman did everything in his considerable power to kill that play.
Right. She was absolutely right.
He did everything he could to ruin that play, and the play got up despite him and walked off anyway. It was so great. Even Dustin Hoffman couldn't kill Death of a Salesman. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you can kill Streetcar Named Desire. The other great American play, that you can kill. You've got Bad Blanche and you're dead. I just saw a dreadful production
Yeah.
of Streetcar in the Moscow Art Theater, as a matter of fact. Horrible.
Really?
They completely misunderstood it. But neither here nor there. But Death of a Salesman survives anything or anyone. And you were there opening night.
Sure.
And your family, your father, your mother.
Sure.
Yes. Did you know then that your family's fortunes and name were changed forever?
No. I mean, I was there in the audience. The curtain came down at the end. And usually when the curtain comes down and the audience goes up. And curtain came down. And there was not a sound. And the actors wondered, what the hell is going on, Where are they going? They just, but then, when they quieted down, you hear, and men took out the handkerchiefs and just turned away. He was so embarrassed.
Because they were in tears.
Yeah.
Men, more than women.
Heaving. And so when finally it quieted down, the producer said to guy who works the lights said, from now on, you don't raise the lights immediately. You gotta let the people be by themselves. Because it's so embarrassing for all these men to just be, you know, just stricken. That they had to change the traditional way of ending a play. And it is to this day the same thing, wherever you are. So watch out!
The play gets you every time.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to name drop again. Ann Jackson said that she was there early in
Annie
the
was
run.
there, yeah.
She was there, if not opening night, early in the run. And she said she doesn't understand these days the show's over and people leap to their feet and give a standing ovation without taking a second to even think about the show. She said after Death of a Salesman, she couldn't even move, let alone rise up to give the actors an ovation. She was just sitting there, stunned. She couldn't move, because that's the effect that it had.
And it was interesting, you know, because men do not like to be seen crying. Women love it. but it was very difficult for men to, at any age, to live through that experience and just walk out of it, you know.
In Time Bends, your brother does talk about the personal origins of a lot of his plays. They come from something deep within his own life or his own feelings and experiences.
Could have been that way with Shakespeare too, you know.
Absolutely. All great
No, I
writers.
never
All
asked.
great writers. Who was Death of a Salesman based on? It's not your father.
No, it wasn't my dad. I think it probably was more related to my uncle, my mother's something or other. He said it was an uncle, Uncle Manny.
And he was a salesman who was not successful.
He was a traveling salesman.
And had not been successful, had a reversal of fortune.
Yeah. He never had expected to be much more than a salesman. He wasn't disappointed in life by that. But he was he's a nice uncle. I liked him.
Did your father ever think that people might have thought that his son based the play on him?
I don't think so. No.
That never came up?
No, I think because everybody knew this character was so much like that uncle that anybody who knew him knew that this was not my dad. No. I don't think so.
Now
And I don't think Arthur would have done that.
he wouldn't have done that?
No.
In the mid-50s, your family became even more famous because your brother married the most famous woman in the world.
Who is that?
And I have a picture here of Marilyn Monroe with an extremely good-looking man. He looks like a movie actor. It is, in fact, your father.
That's Dad. My dad.
Very handsome gentleman.
Yeah, he was.
Really a good-looking guy.
But you know, this picture,
Marilyn Monroe and Joan's father on the occasion of Marilyn singing Happy Birthday to the President.
yeah,
And they're looking at the President as right off frame
yeah.
in this historic photograph.
Where did you get that?
Joel gave it to me.
Oh, Joe. Okay, that's good. Yeah, she was beautiful.
Did you get to know Marilyn Monroe?
Sure. She was my sister-in-law. Yeah, I said hello. Yeah, no, she was easy to be with. We were very close, you know. And she loved my dad. And she liked my mother. And she just, she wanted to fit into the family. She never had a family. She never knew who her father was. And it was must have been a very lonely bringing up, you know, when she was a kid. So here she had a father, Dad, she used to call him, Dad. And one time it was my house, and she called, and she said, "Is Dad there?" I said, "Yeah, are you all right?" She said, "No, I want to put him on." So she put Dad on the phone, and she was down in Miami, I think, and she said, "Dad, it's cold in New York, and why don't you come? I'm staying in Frank Sinatra's place here in where it was, whatever town it was." And she said, "It would be so nice. You'd like it so much. It's so warm here, you know, and you don't want to be up in there in New York where it's so cold now." And he said, "Well, Marilyn, I think I'll do that." And he went down there, and she was so considerate. She loved saying, "Dad."
And I have proof of that right here. I have a letter from Marilyn to your father and mother from England on the occasion of the triumphant British production of View from the Bridge, 1956. "Dear Mother and Dad, it was wonderful to talk to you. I miss you. We can't wait to get home, and I can't wait to start a family. Art's play was the biggest success London has ever had. Wish you could have been with us. I was very proud of him. Love, Marilyn." Isn't that a lovely letter?
Yeah. She was like that. She was, you know, she was a terrific girl, woman. It's unfortunate the way it ended. But when she was, I don't want to go into that. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved her. She was very giving, soft, and well, the rest is history.
You were there for the wedding?
Of course!
There weren't many people there. It was just a select few.
Well, there was, you mean...
At the actual wedding itself.
I don't know.
Yeah, according to Arthur's autobiography.
Well, you can believe him. He was there.
He was there. He was there and his sister was there.
Yeah.
And were you on the set for the making of the Misfits? The Clark Gable?
Yes, yeah.
In Nevada.
Yeah, that was, it was nice meeting him. He's cute. No, when I could be there, you know, it happened that I was doing a picture myself at the time. So I was part of the thing.
Now, moving ahead a little bit, in 1980, and here's some, I was there, opening night of Joan Copeland in Arthur Miller's The American Clock, where Joan was, in a sense, playing her mother, a version of her mother, and a play that Arthur Miller had written. A beautiful play. It didn't land in the sense that it didn't have as long a run as it deserved, but you were revived, and it really almost never is. It's really a mural of the Depression. What was it like when your brother approached you to play this role? And did he tell you at the beginning, well, this is sort of like our mother?
Well, I didn't, see, I never asked Arthur if he could help me, because at this time it was successful, you know, everybody knew what he was. And, but I never would ask him to do something for me. And
You never asked him to write a part for
No. I assumed that if he wanted me to play into something, that it was what he wanted to do. But I was in LA and working, beginning to work in that field. And my husband called me and he said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Well, I'm not standing up. What do you want?" He said, "Well, did you hear from your brother?" I said, "No, why should I hear from him?" He said, "Well, he's going to call you." I said, "What's he going to call me for?" He said, "I think he wants you to be in a play." I nearly fainted. And I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be in his play. And I said, "Well, look, tell him to call me, okay?" So about 10 minutes later, I get a call, and it's Arthur, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm here hoping to get some work in films." "Well, what's up?" He said, "Well, I just wrote a play, and I'm wondering if you'd like to be in it." I said, "Well, Arthur, look, I can't do big parts again. I just can't do that because I'm getting somewhere here in LA in the films business, and because I essentially am a theatrical. That's where my forte is. So I was not familiar with film so much, and he said, "Well, I'd like you to I'd like you to do my play." I said, "Well, what is it about?" I said, "Arthur, I cannot do minor parts anymore because I'm getting successful here, and I just can't do that anymore." He said, No, it's not like that." He said, I said, "Well, what is it? What have you got?" He said, "Because I'm not going to do my little parts anymore." He said, "No." He said, No. This is you'd be playing the lead in a new play of mine." I said, "You're kidding." I said, "You're kidding. How? Well, I mean, I'm not going to do a little part. I mean, I'm just when are you going to do it?" And he said, "Well, when you're free, when you can do that, we'll talk about that." And I said, "All right, send me the script." And I kind of dropped down in bed, and I put down my phone, and I said, "Are you crazy? That's Arthur Miller. That's Arthur Miller called you, and you said, 'I'll think about it. Send me the script.' I think I'm going to kill myself." I mean, it was so insane. Arthur was already a big shot. And I couldn't believe that I had turned him down and said,
Microphone.
"Send me the script.
Microphone.
Send me the script." Oh, God. Well, he sent me the script, and I did it. And but I never had anything else I asked him for. I mean, just was too shy to ask.
When you read American Clock, did you realize this was your mother on the stage?
Well, it was clear, that he was using her as a subject, yeah. But I played my mother. And sometime after that, when I came back to New York, we were rehearsing a play that he had written, and I was playing my mother. And was rehearsing, And suddenly I see in the corner, Arthur standing there in the doorway. And I went over to him and I said, what do you think? I said, I just finished doing this, working on this, and I was just finished in a half. What do you think? He said, what were you doing? I said, well, that's the way she was. He said, no, she wasn't. I said, yeah, of course you. He said, no, she wasn't like that at all. I said, well, I knew. I said, what do you know? I said, what do you know? Look, you went off to Michigan, to go to the University of Michigan. You went off to Michigan. I was home. You didn't know what she was doing. You didn't know how painful life was for her. And you just went and, and got successful. And it's hard for me to remember this. But I did the play, and I was successful, and we were always friends, always tight with each other.
But Joan, what you're saying is that you had one vision of your mother, and your brother had another vision.
Yeah.
But when the show opened, opening night, whose vision were you playing?
Arthur's. I was playing Arthur's mother, not mine. Everybody else has its siblings. You know what it's like. Keep them.
But that's what you were playing. Isn't that a memorable statement?
Absolutely.
I was playing Arthur's mother, not mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well put.
Thank you.
That has a lot of feeling behind it. We get it. We get it.
He was, with me, it was not very, feely, creepy,
Affectionate.
Well, it was always affectionate, but he was never tender, as my brother Kermit was. Kermit would just hug you, and I was always loved by both my brothers. And my father and my mother, I can't bitch about any of them. But Arthur, of course, became so large in the world, and all over the world. This is not, I think somebody said that there's not a time, what is it, there's not an hour in this world where there's not an Arthur Miller play being performed. That's something.
That is something. That is something. Were you close to him at the end of his life?
Yeah. At the end of the run, he was quite ill. And he couldn't speak. He lost his power of speaking. And he lived he had a home in
Connecticut.
where?
Connecticut.
Connecticut, in Connecticut. And that was his main residence. But he also had a residence in New York. And towards the end of his life, he stayed with me because he was ill, but he wanted to be in his home in Connecticut, but he was not well enough to do that. The doctor says, no, you can't go that far. So he said, well, I would like to stay with my sister. So he did. He stayed with me for about 8 weeks or something like that. And we became friends. We got to, I got together, and as a sister and a brother. And it was wonderful, and he would lie down usually in the living room on a long couch that we had there, and he would get up once in a while after sitting for a while, and he'd just go over, pick up a pencil and a piece of paper and write. And it's continued like that, and he stayed with me in my house, and in my apartment, and we got to be brother and sister again, because he never paid back too much attention to me. He's a pest. The younger sister, don't bother about that. But he did. The last I saw of him, he was sitting in a wheelchair, and they were ready to go. He was ready to go to his house in Connecticut. So I'm trying to find the exact thing that happened there. He how should I say this? Yeah, he was in the back of an ambulance. An ambulance was there to take him to
Back home.
to take him to his home. Yeah, and I sat there in the ambulance with him. I went up and he was sitting in a chair, and I reached up. He was at a higher level than I was, and I reached up and touched his knees. And I said something that I'd never said to him in my life. I said, "I love you, Arthur." And then I walked away, and then I turned back, and he said, he couldn't speak. And that's the last I ever saw him. He was dandy. He was so good.
And now this 100th anniversary, he's
Imagine.
being remembered. Imagine. And so many productions. Will you be going to all of them?
I don't think I'll live that long.
Just this year. So, what, A View from the Bridge is opening, and
Incident at
Crucible.
Vichy. Incident at Vichy.
Incident at Vichy. You're seeing that next week?
You are?
Yeah, in fact, yeah. I mean, he's just a wonderful writer. I've reread Time Bends over the weekend. That's an extraordinary autobiography.
Yeah.
He could write prose as well as dialogue. He was a genius.
He wrote that part when I had a house at the beach here in Long Island. And he
wrote
wrote
Time Bends.
some of it then. Yeah.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about just Joan, not connected to Arthur, but there are a few highlights of your own career that are fascinating to talk about. You know what I'm going to talk about because it's so famous. Changing the atmosphere from a wonderful person to somebody not so wonderful. Joan had the distinct, wouldn't call it pleasure exactly, but she played opposite Danny Kaye for 1 year. in 2x2, and to Richard Rogers' score, based on
Lamb. Richard Rogers was a lamb.
Richard Rogers was a lamb, and Danny Kaye was not the most congenial of partners, to put it mildly. And everybody connected with that show has terrible things to say about him to this day. You're so tactful and kind. But the other day, and I was talking to Joan, she said something, she may not say it to you tonight, so I'm going to say it, because it's a wonderful story. Arthur Miller and Danny Kaye were both Kennedy Center recipients the same year. And Joan, being the nice lady she is, went over to congratulate Danny Kaye for being an honoree, along with her brother. And Danny Kaye looked at her and said, "We said goodbye a long time ago."
He was a sweetheart.
Did you understand him? Did you understand why he behaved as he did?
Yeah, because I walked off the stage.
You walked off the stage?
Yeah.
With an audience out there?
They were there to see him, but he behaved very nasty. He was nasty. The whole company was filled with disrespect for Danny because he was a naughty man. He would do things on stage that you just don't do on stage. I played his wife. I loved Danny before this. I played his wife, and I had a costume that just, the audience didn't see this, but it just zipped down, you know, to get into. And we were sitting, there would be Danny, I would be here, and Danny would be here. And it was just a small little banquet. And it would come to my number, and the two of us were supposed to be singing together, which we did. And then one day, I felt him zipping down my dress. It was just a two-piece thing, like that. And I said, "Danny, don't do that." And then he would take me in his arms, in his hand, and turn me this way.
Oh my God.
So the audience could see? Oh, that's terrible.
Well, he just was naughty, you know. When I first met him, I was so thrilled, you know, that I was going to be there working with Danny Kaye, playing his wife, and it was a good part.
You had the best song in the show?
Huh?
You had the best song in the show? An Old Man.
An old man, yeah. Maybe I'll sing it.
Can you do that?
I don't know. I ain't done got a pellet here. An old man.
It's weird.
An old man is queer in his ways. His appetite fails, but he's hungry for praise. And the sights that he's seen are the sights that he'll see. Old isn't easy to be. An old man gets cranky at night when barrels won't lift and an apple won't bite, when what used to be sure has a whole other face. Old is an unfriendly place. He walks like he's smoothing out bumps in a rug. For hours he'll stare at a spot. The hug that he gives you is hardly a hug. You remember the hug that it's not anymore. An old man is sometimes afraid. I'm sorry. An old man is... I'm so sorry. The second one I'm sorry. I remember when I got
We got it.
I'll send it out.
We got it. Another theater credit you had. Fascinating, but somehow not enviable. Am I right about it? Were you the standby for Katharine Hepburn and Copeland?
Oh, yes, my dear, yes. That was interesting. I'm telling you. She was a lovely lady. You want to know? I was hired to, it's people say, oh, she's the understudy, But I have had a wonderful time understudying, because most of the time they would give me, parts that were not easy to play. And, or they had, there might be a person who would be very temperamental and couldn't be sure that she would be coming to work that day. She didn't feel like it. So I gotten used to playing second, whatever it is, And I didn't mind it. I liked it. You get paid a lot of money because I was covering stars. They were all stars. And I liked doing that. But Kate, which was another sin, Kate Hepburn, because everybody was afraid to tell Kate that there was going to be an understudy. What? What? Well, I was in the theater one day. I had not met her, and I was taken not backstage, to the rear of the theater. And the guy said, "You sit here. Wait a second." And it happened that there was it was lunch break or something, and the people in charge there were having a little bite to eat on the stage, and it was Kate was there. I mean, Miss Hepburn was there, and I didn't know her as Kate yet. I hadn't met her, but the producer and the director and the writer were there, and Katharine Hepburn was on the stage. And so somebody comes up with a message or something and said, and then they go to Kate. And she said, "What? Where? Where? Whatever for?" All right, well, come on, send her up. So I was at the back of the theater, and they said, "Joan, you want to come up here?" So I walked up, and she said, "Well, hello, how are you? It's nice to meet you." Very nice. You know you'll never play this part, you know that, don't you? Yeah, okay. So then going up, about 20 minutes later, she said, "Come on up with me to my dressing room." So I went up with her, And she said, well, as we were climbing up the steps, I was behind her, and she said, "You're Joan Copeland. You're related to what's his name? Oh, Miller." I said, yes, he's my brother. Good writer. Lousy tennis player. Well, when I told that to Arthur, he said, "Yeah, you couldn't beat her." Not in tennis. But we became friends, you know.
Did you go on?
Yeah.
You did go on. You
Yeah.
did go on.
Yeah. I went on until the end of the play. Until the play closed.
But you never went on for her?
Yeah.
You did?
I got the role.
You got the role?
Yeah.
So you did play Coco?
Coco! Coco! This is how Kate sang. Coco Chanel. The story's about Coco Chanel.
Can you imagine Katharine
Yeah.
Hepburn as Coco Chanel? So
It's
American
hard
playing
to-
so French.
Yeah, but you know what? Interesting. Many years later, a gentleman knocked on my door in the theater, and he said, "Miss Copeland, I have something to show you." And he opens up a big bag and takes out a dress. I said, "What is this for?" He said, "Well, I just thought you might like to know that this belonged to the great French designer.
Coco.
This was Coco's dress, and I thought you'd like to see it." And I thought, to touch what Coco Chanel had worn. It was her dress. And he said, "I would like you to put it on." Well, I said, "If you leave the room first." So I tried on, and I tried to squeeze in. But she must have had a waistline like that, because I couldn't get anywhere near the thing to close it off. But it was, interesting things. So, when people say, oh, they look at a program and say, oh, the understudy's on tonight, let's go, because they wanted to see the star. And so many times the star is much better.
The understudy.
The replacement is much better. All sorts of adventures in the theater.
Well, we think you're the star. We could go on and on and on, but hasn't this been a special occasion?